Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a car so polite, it not only doesn't bother you with gear changes, but might actually reverse faster than it drives forward. A car that looks like it was drawn by a 7-year-old with a ruler and a dream. And yet, under that charmingly simple shell, it hides a piece of transmission wizardry that even modern automakers struggle to replicate for decades. That, dear viewers, is the story of the DAF 750 and its more floral cousin, the DAF Daffodil. Before we roll backwards into Dutch history at 60 miles per hour, don't forget to subscribe. This channel has more obscure vehicles than my cousin's barn and fewer feral chickens. Now let's head back to the lowlands of innovation, Eindhoven, Netherlands, circa 1961. By the end of the 1950s, DAF was already known for building tough, no-nonsense trucks, but brothers Hub and Wim van Doorne had their sights set on something more radical. A true people's car for the Dutch public. Something compact, affordable, and as easy to operate as a light switch. Hub van Doorne, the engineering brain of the duo, even built a prototype personal transport in 1943 during World War II, nicknamed the driving raincoat. It looked exactly as practical and terrifying as that sounds, and yes, there's even a video about it on this channel if you're brave enough to watch. Post-war optimism and a hunger for mobility led DAF to unveil the DAF 600 in 1958, with production beginning in 1959. It was the first car in the world with a continuously variable transmission, the revolutionary Variomatic. By 1961, that car evolved into the DAF 750, boasting a more potent engine and improved road manners. That same year, DAF also launched the more luxurious Daffodil trim, which was essentially a 750 in fancier clothes and with a more inviting name. In Germany, where the word daffodil sounded like either a medical cream or a sneeze, it was rebranded as the DAF 30. Designed entirely in-house, with engineering led by Johan van der Bruggen and styling by Willem van den Brink, the DAF 750 didn't chase Italian curves or French flair. Its appeal was its simplicity, humble in size, but surprisingly clever in execution. The DAF 750 was produced from 1961 to 1963, with just 16,167 examples made. Meanwhile, the Daffodil range evolved through 3 iterations: the DAF 30, 1961 to 63, DF 31, 1963 to 65, and DF 32, 1965 to 67. In total, nearly 150,000 cars were built between all versions, making it one of the most successful homegrown Dutch car lines. Station wagons, delivery vans, and even a tiny pickup variant expanded its appeal. But few survive today, especially the pickup, with maybe 7 left on the entire planet. In 1967, the DAF 33 replaced the Daffodil line, and eventually DAF's innovations caught the attention of Volvo, who took over the car division in the 1970s. But it all started with the humble 750 and its dainty Daffodil sibling. At the heart of the DAF 750 and Daffodil was a 746 cubic centimeter air-cooled flat-twin boxer engine producing 30 brake horsepower at 4,000 revolutions per minute. That may not sound like much, but remember, it weighed just about 660 kilograms, or 1,450 pounds. This tiny engine, longitudinally mounted up front, sent power to the rear wheels through DAF's groundbreaking Variomatic transmission. No gears, no clutch. No drama, just 2 rubber V-belts and a pair of expanding pulleys doing a dance with centrifugal weights and vacuum pressure to find the ideal ratio for the moment. Because each pulley connected to a separate rear wheel, the Variomatic system also acted as a differential. It was so efficient that if one belt snapped, you could hobble home on the other. Your car might limp like Timmy after his 3rd rum-fueled dance-off, but it would get you there. And here's where things get wild. The DAF could go just as fast in reverse as it could going forward. Since the Variomatic applied full range in both directions, the car could hit 60 miles per hour backwards. This led to a very Dutch pastime, reverse racing. Yes, actual races held entirely in reverse, with DAFs screaming around tracks backwards like confused deer. Chassis-wise, the DAF 750 featured a unibody structure with independent front suspension using a transverse leaf spring and telescopic shocks. At the rear, swing axles with coil springs paired with the Variomatic units provided surprisingly decent comfort. All four wheels had drum brakes, with disc brakes only appearing on the sporty DAF 32S variant. Steering was manual rack and pinion, light enough to make parking easier than navigating social events with Timmy. The 750 rolled on 12-inch wheels, increasing to 13 inches in later models, and could seat 4 adults in a body just 3.61 meters long, 11 feet 10 inches. With a wheelbase of 2.05 meters, 80.7 inches, it was compact but surprisingly roomy, thanks to clever packaging and the absence of a bulky gearbox tunnel. Fuel economy hovered around 6 to 7 liters per 100 kilometers, roughly 35 to 40 miles per gallon, and top speed was around 105 kilometers per hour, 65 miles per hour. Not exactly Autobahn material, but perfectly fine for getting to the market, the beach, or escaping an awkward dinner with in-laws. Among the quirky features was the dashboard-mounted selector lever, just forward, neutral, and reverse. Simple, elegant, confusing to anyone under 30. Also notable was the lack of a radiator, since the engine was air-cooled and a notoriously underwhelming heater that bravely attempted to warm the car during Dutch winters. It tried. It really did. Perhaps most amusingly, if you parked the DAF and didn't apply the handbrake, it could roll away. Why? Because the centrifugal clutch wouldn't hold it still. Several owners reportedly found their DFs gently bobbing in Amsterdam canals, calmly floating like mechanical ducks. The DAF 750 and Daffodil weren't about flash, they were about function, friendliness, and a distinctly Dutch sense of practicality. Willem van den Brink's original design was softly rounded, featuring a wide grille, simple lines, and upright glass to maximize space. Early models looked a bit like a cartoon crocodile, hence the Daffodil name, a play on DAF and crocodile. In 1963, Italian designer Giovanni Michelotti stepped in to refine the look for the DAF 31 and 32. The body lines became more angular, the roof flatter, the rear deck squared off, and modest tail fins were added, because every car in the 1960s wanted just a hint of American swagger. The DF 32 further modernized the look with a flatter hood and trunk, moving away from the grinning crocodile and towards something a bit more serious. Like a librarian who just bought leather boots. While Fiat and VW were selling millions, DAF stayed niche. Its quirky image and modest performance made it a hard sell to thrill-seeking youth. But for pensioners, city dwellers, and families who wanted reliability and ease, the DAF quietly built a fan base. And while no one feared being overtaken by a DAF in traffic, they did envy the convenience. No other car in its class offered a fully automatic gearbox. Not until CVTs became mainstream decades later did the rest of the world catch up. Now, if you've made it this far, you deserve the numbers. Back in 1961, a DAF 750 would set you back around 4,000 Dutch guilders, about $100 at the time, or roughly $11,000 in today's money. Not bad for a car that let Grandma reverse faster than the neighbor's Beetle could go forward. At auction, the record stands at $8,800 for a beautifully restored 1962 Daffodil sold by R.M. Sotheby's in 2017. Most others change hands today for somewhere between $3,000 and $6,000, making them some of the most affordable and lovable oddballs in classic car land. Huge thanks to our beloved channel sponsors, those brave souls who clicked the join button and now carry the honor of funding this glorious automotive nonsense. You're the Variomatic in our drivetrain, the Daffodil on our dashboard, the extra gear we never had but always needed. And to everyone else, remember, if your car can't reverse race at 60 miles per hour, can it really call itself a classic?